guys, it's and it's another tutorial on gain staging this time. I noticed on the last video I was clipping a little bit on my microphone. Kind of gave me the idea this time to do a video on clipping and gain staging and all that good stuff. So here we go. So it's the same dubstep demo that I used last time. I'll show you the version where it's limited. Basically the same version as last time. Okay, so first let's go over what clipping is. When you're doing a playback on different systems outside of the DAW, you're not going to be able to replicate what's over 0 here. It's just going to be clipped off. When you export something that has a volume over 0 dB, 0 decibels, 0 is right here, it's going to be just clipped off. See that red area right there? It's just completely clipped off, and you're going to be left with this sort of dirty remnants of, what was underneath, the volume spikes, or, whatever the loud signal was. So I'm going to show you here what clipping sounds like at first. Here's the bass only with the clipping. The balance here just adds gain. Alright, kind of sounds not very good, kind of dirty and not very good. Let me turn off this limiter even more, show you the effect even more. Right, not very good. It sounds even worse when you export it and it cuts off everything above 0, and it's just kind of a mess. There's some distortion plugins out there that'll kind of mimic this, but in general you don't want to do this, and you definitely don't want to do it on your whole track, because it's not a harmonic distortion, it's just kind of a random bad distortion. So anyways, that's what happens when it clips only on one insert. Let's say, for instance, you play back a track where the entire thing is clipped and you're left with this. This is again a gain boost. Again, not very good. Doesn't sound good at all. At least I don't think so. I don't think very many people would agree or would disagree with me. So everything, when you export this, one more time, everything above 0 is just going to be completely cut off, and you're left with just crap, right? So what you're going to want to do when you're mixing, probably one of the first steps you do, is you're going to do what's called gain staging, which means you're going to obviously stage the gain of each of your sounds. So let's say, for instance, this guy, 3x oscillator. First I'm going to turn the gain boost off of that channel, the master. And here's the 3x oscillator. Let's have a listen here. So you see what I did there? I just took the boost off. So that was way simpler than it probably will be in the real world, or whenever you're mixing something, whenever I'm mixing something, whenever anyone mixes something. Usually the first stage is simply turning the volume to a reasonable level beneath 0. That's the first step. What you want to do next after that is make sure that when all the sounds are playing, that on the master they don't clip either. So check it out. So as you can see, none of the inserts here are clipping at all. And even when they're all playing together through the master insert, together they don't clip either. They come just short of 0 dB. And that's fine, that's good. It's not going to be a loud track. It might sound, depending on the track, it might sound relatively loud, but that's not what you're aiming for here with the mix. You're simply trying to either one, get all your volumes good relative to other instruments. You're also trying to balance frequencies. You don't want to build up of 1,000 hertz. You want it all to kind of balance out. And you want everything to be below clipping when you're mixing. So all those things are important when you're mixing. Then later on, when you're mastering, that's when you can take your mix and simply jack up the volume, which I'll show you on a different video in the future, how you can master your songs to be really loud and have kind of a nice clarity while still being really, really loud. But I'll also kind of demonstrate here. So here is a clipped audio file. That was the one I showed you before where I gain boosted everything, and it was just this mess. So check out up here. You can see that the waveform is so loud that it eventually clips off at this point. It becomes kind of a square. There's a little sharp straight point that happens, the bottom and top. And that's, obviously, like I said, where the audio signal's been just chopped off and, you're left with a mess. Here's the same one. It's the same, or it's a similar audio file. It's the same, clip I showed you. But instead of the, ungain staged clipping, I gain staged, and then I did sort of a bit of a mastering technique, limiting on it, what would be similar to mastering limiting, where I jack up the gain and then put a limiter on it, and it increases the loudness. So check it out. And you see that it doesn't go over 0, just like the clipping one doesn't go over 0, because the clipping one's, like I said, been clipped off. This one hasn't been clipped off, though. It sounds pretty clean, and it's good. And the reason that is because I used a limiter on it instead of it just being clipped off. And the limiter essentially turns the volume down when it goes up to 0. It's a little bit more musical. It takes away the dynamics still a little bit, but it's not harsh. It doesn't have any distortion really, unless you get into like really, really, really hardcore limiting. So yeah, aside from that, I guess the one thing you want to take away from this video is that it's important to gain stage. Make sure all your levels are below the red zone down here all the time. And then you want to make sure that your master, with all the sounds going through, doesn't get clipped at all. It doesn't go in the red zone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show you again with Ozone on here. Here's the 3 tracks here, and there's no boost or anything. I'm just gonna run it through Ozone, one of my favorite plugins. Absolutely love this plugin. It was worth all the money I spent on it, let me tell you that, because I use it a lot on my mixdowns as well. Alright, so now that I've advertised for Ozone, like I said, that's the same one right here, where it doesn't go over 0, it's limited, and it sounds pretty good. So I hope you learned something about clipping and gain staging today. If not, just leave a question in the comments and I could probably answer it. And I'd really enjoy if you could check out my other music. I just posted one of my a new remix of Mako. on my other YouTube channel. That's in the description. And thanks for watching.